Hello everyone, today is Sunday, October 18th, and this is my video for the week. This week, I decided to tell my story since so many wondering minds want to know. So that's what I'm going to do. So how did Jennifer go from being the local banker to reading tarot cards as a psychic medium? So here we go. I guess I would have to start with 2018. I had done a little stint in Lincoln Trail. Not a lot of people know that, but I'm going to tell it. I had done a little stint in Lincoln Trail because I just knew that I was thinking things that I shouldn't be thinking. So with that being said, it was when after I come home from Lincoln Trail, out of nowhere, there was this letter that my grandmother had written, and it was, I hadn't seen it in years. I mean, it was something that I had put up, and I put no more mind to it because it was just, a trinket in a keepsake box somewhere, and I didn't even know where. And it was a letter that my grandmother had written, and it was, "What is the kingdom of heaven?" Now, I'm telling you this is because this is my first real confirmation. That moment, that confirmation that everyone needs or everyone gets when you finally realize that there is a higher power. So there is something beyond. And so I had come back into my bedroom, and right there on the nightstand lay this letter that my grandmother had written years ago, and I had gotten, and it's headed, "What is the kingdom of heaven?" Now, first and foremost, she had put that there for me. That there was put there for me, just for me, because I had been pondering quite a few things, and this thing, it appeared out of nowhere. So she put it there for me, and it was for me to see. And when I found it, I sat and I just folded up and I just cried on the floor because I knew that she was watching. I knew that she was listening. Somebody was listening anyway. And so, anyways, what the answer was, the kingdom of heaven, it said, is nothing that you can find. It's something you find within yourself. It is just having that faith and knowing what you know and finding it within yourself. That's the kingdom of heaven. That's where you find it. So thank you, angels and grandmother, for putting that there for me. So then we're going to skip now to January 2019. We're going to call this the meeting of fate. So the meeting of fate was, I was sitting at Tina's bar. I had been at Antsy all day, and it was bowling night, bowling tournament, the virtual bowling. So, big stuff. So I had was bowling, and then in walks a line of Mexicans, and I remember feeling some kind of something, and I thought, well, here comes the party for sure. So here comes the party. And with that being said, that's when I met my Mexican friend. And for all extensive purposes, I'm going to leave names out. Even though most of you know names, I'm going to leave them out of this video. But I can't explain it, but there was an instant magnetism to this person. One that I'll never be able to explain, or maybe some of you can understand, but it's a little personal there. So with that being said, I was having a lot of problems in my marriage at that time. We had been, together for 9 years. And let's just keep all the details out. But anyways, unbecomingly to the person I am, I cheated on my husband with this Mexican friend. And so there is where it all started to fall apart. So I thought. So pretty much from that moment forward, I started losing myself piece by piece. I could see things, I could see the things as they were falling away, but I was powerless to do anything about it. First there goes, house, and then there goes my stepchildren that I love so very much. And there goes, here goes friends, and here goes everything pretty much I knew to be my life. It started falling away, and there was nothing that I could do to stop it. I could see it going. I could see it all falling away. I could see the things changing and feeling, but I couldn't do anything to stop it. And so finally, the last piece that fell was my job. My job of 16 years. I lost my job of 16 years. And when that happened, on August 26, 2019, I knew that I had to go find out what the fuck I had did. Everything. I knew that I had to find out everything that I had done to contribute to losing every goddamn thing I knew to be my entire fucking life. I'm just going to put it out there just like that, because that's just how it is. And of course, the only way to see something for what it is you can't see it when you're inside of it. You have to get outside of something in order to see it. You have to step outside of a situation to see inside of a situation. So that's what I did. I left Brandenburg. I put everything into storage, and I packed my car up with my personal belongings, and I left. There was nothing for me there. I'd lost friends. There was nothing left. There was nothing left of me. Nothing left of my life as I had known it. Nothing was left. So I did. I left. I said, fuck it. I'm moving to Florida. So got to Florida. Kind of figured out that it's a little too expensive to live in Florida. So that being said, I backtracked to Georgia and ended up in a town called Alma, Georgia. So it turns out that Alma is Spanish for soul. So ended up in Alma, Georgia. And I started my journey there of breaking myself down to nothing, piece by piece. I broke myself down to absolutely nothing. And I went all the way back to my parents and their toxic bullshit that they passed down from their parents. Okay, so all this lineage of toxicity and coping mechanisms and all that, I broke it all down. And come to find out, my moral compass probably didn't start in life pointing north. So, yeah. So with some abandonment issues and fears, and some coping mechanisms later, I found out what made me tick. So, but Halloween, I am still not seeing the bigger picture. I'm still carrying a lot of resentment. I'm angry because I feel like, I had people that I had been there for were no longer there for me, or they wasn't there for me whenever I was there for them, carrying all these resentments, like, why did they treat me this way? Why did they do that? Why did they say this to me? All this stuff. And there was even a moment where I took my pistol and put it to my head with no intention of shooting myself. I'm just going to say that. But I just put it to my head because I just wanted to see how it would feel. And man, did it feel like sweet relief at that moment, because essentially I had figured out everything I'd done to contribute to losing everything to be my life, and I still didn't understand that at that moment that the way people had treated me was no way, in fact, a reflection of me, but of them and their issues, but I hadn't got there yet. So, I'm going to skip a little bit more. Got my little outline here, so I'm going to skip to a little bit further ahead. And let's skip to right before Thanksgiving, my bestie had come to visit. She was going through it too herself. And she come down. I told her, come down. So she came down there to Georgia, and it was to visit and just, I guess, get away. And it was when we were driving out to the coast, because, you know, I only lived an hour and a half from Brunswick, Georgia, which is Jekyll Island. So we was driving out the coast, and we're riding down the road, and we were talking about, you know, just different things, and how she, you know, feels so much stuff, you know, and we started talking about being an empath. And by this point, I had figured out that I was empathic person, or an empath, and which is somebody who has the psychic level ability to feel what others feel. So, I mean, it's psychic level ability of empathy, so to speak. But with some people who are empathic, you actually take on the emotions of others into your own as your own, which I do have tendencies to do that, but it's not as bad as that I feel them, but I didn't actually take them on as my own like she did. And she was really struggling with it. And then we were talking about just some other things, like how she's had a lot of deja vu moments. And I'm like, yeah, there's this thing that I do, and I've done it since like my teenage years, where I would think of somebody out of the blue, and I'm like clockwork, I would see that person within 2 or 3 days every time. And so it was to a point that so much that I knew it wasn't coincidence. It happened too often to be coincidence. So I just knew there was something there. So with that being said, I'm driving, and she's in the passenger seat, and she looks out, and she's just looking through the windshield. So if you're looking through the windshield of a car, I mean, essentially you're looking at the sky, right? And she looks at the sky, and she's looking, and she goes, do you see that starfish or that sand dollar? And she's just looking, do you see that starfish or that sand dollar? And I'm like, looking at her, following her gaze. Out in the sky? No, no, I don't see that starfish or that sand dollar. And I thought to myself, this bitch just totally premonitioned finding a starfish or a sand dollar. And lo and behold, she sure did. She found this pretty sand dollar, and right in the middle is that beautiful star. And I said, you know, told her about what she did, you know, in the car. She's like, she doesn't even remember doing that. So right there, I knew that there was something else. There's something a little bit more. So there's a breadcrumb. So breadcrumb to found out that I'm an empath. Breadcrumb to find out that my best friend growing up, you know, we're definitely soulmates, and she's an empath. And so right after that's when I had my real aha moment. So she left, and the next week she sent me a video, and it was Christina somebody on YouTube, and it was a video that says, the header was the 6 stages of a spiritual awakening. What stage are you in? ? So I don't think I watched it right away. So then she calls and says, hey, did you watch a video? I'm like, no, I probably deleted it because I didn't want, you know, oh well, I deleted it. So can you resend it? So she resends it, and I'm sitting there painting because, you know, I had also done research before I left because I'm broke as shit, and I'm trying to, you know, recover from this traumatic experience of losing everything to be my entire life. So I'm doing artsy shit, you know, I'm making stuff, and turns out I'm really freaking good at it. But I'm sitting there painting something, and I'm watching the video, and it talks about Christina Lopes, that's the name of the lady. And it talks about, you know, like the first stage, and then the second stage, seeing like signs and synchronicities, you know. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, you know, we'd play cards, you know, before I left Brandenburg, and I would sit there and like, I had like all these 8s, like 8, 8, 8, 8, you know, 888, you know, and I'm like, man, and then all these fives, and so it's like, yeah, I remember seeing all that, where I wake up, and it'd be 5:55 on the clock for like 3 days in a row. I'm like, man, that's really odd. So, yeah, definitely seeing signs and synchronicities. So, and then it talked about the dark night of the soul, and in that stage, it's one of the hardest, because essentially everything that's no longer serving you falls away. So that includes, you know, marital relationships, friends, jobs. And as I'm sitting here listening to this, it's like a light bulb went off, and I said, oh my God, that is what happened to me. I'm going through a spiritual awakening? What? But yeah, totally. I mean, everything that's no longer serving you falls away. So essentially what it means is that your soul knows the path that you're supposed to be on. And when you're not on your soul path anymore, literally your soul will grab a hold of you and say, okay, well, you're not going to make the changes. We're trying to give you these nudges. So off we go. And that's what it did. And of course, you know, the ego mind, it's really hard on that. You mean, it's blow your brains out shit, because it's really hard losing, or what you think losing, everything to be your entire life. But as it turns out, I didn't lose anything. It's just those parts of my life were not serving me anymore, and I was being course corrected. So more breadcrumbs led to more breadcrumbs, and YouTube is a great thing, and pretty much, I mean, if it resonated, if I watched the video, and if I started watching something, it resonated, then I was like, yeah, that sounds right. And if it didn't, I just, you know, switch it and go to something else. So I'd watched a video on manifesting, and it turns out I am a hell of a manifester. I mean, pretty much anything that I ever put my mind to and went after, I got. I would achieve it. I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, I'd win all the prizes at work. I'd do this. I mean, I got the house. I got this. Anything I ever went after, I got. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, if I was ever worried about something, I didn't want something to happen, it seemed like, and I'd be like, God, please don't let this happen. Please don't let this happen. Please don't let this happen. Please don't let this. That's always what happened, because that's what I put my energy on. So that's what I manifested for myself, was that thing I didn't want to happen. And then anything that I was just very confident at and I went after, I got. So I have to really be careful now what the energy I put my thoughts on. You know, I have to really be careful how I think about things, because it turns out I will manifest about anything I want to happen or get. I can make happen. So including the negative things, even if I'm not meaning to. So I have to really be careful there. And then I'd watched another video about channeling, about how it was saying most people don't even know that they're channeling whenever they channel. They just know things, like, and what they, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I can relate to that, because I do. I just know shit. I don't know how I know, but I just know stuff, and I know what I know is true, and that's it. I know what I know is true, and I don't know how I know things, but I just know shit. And like, I'd be sitting there at work, and it turns out I was always a channel, because I'd be at work and I'd be talking to somebody about their auto parts business, you know, and I wouldn't know anything about a damn auto parts business. So, but it's just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I had the right thing to say, and this, I mean, it was just perfect. I'd give them the most profound words of wisdom or advice about, or perspective about what they need to do for their auto parts business. And I mean, even after I got done saying what I was saying, I was like, wow, that sounded fantastic. And my coworker would be in the cubicle next to me after they left. She's like, boy, you pulled that out of your ass. I'm like, I know, but it sounded great, didn't it? But I knew whatever I said was true. I don't know how I knew it, but I knew it. So, and I can think of countless think of countless other examples of that, but I'm going to spare all those details. So turns out I'm a channel. What am I channeling? I don't know. Who am I channeling? I don't know. I don't know all those details, but I'm a manifester, I'm an empath, and I'm a channel. So by January, no, okay, so no, this is by mid-November or mid-December 2019, I have figured out that I'm a manifester, I'm an empath, and I am a channel, an intuitive channel at that. And I have some clairvoyance, and, I just have that. Clairvoyant means just having a clear knowing. And that's me. I mean, I just know things, and I don't know how I know. I just know. But at this point, I didn't realize, too, that I'm also clairsentient, clairaudient, which is, hearing, my video, my phone keeps moving here, so let me fix that. Are we good? Dang it. Okay, I think I got it. So I'm being breadcrumbed at this point, and it wasn't until Christmas, and I'm gonna call this the snowball. We had the snowball Christmas. So, and I'm in Georgia with my friend, and I was gonna say there's probably a little bit of illegal drug use, and with that being said, some brains just don't handle that very well. So, well, he didn't handle that very well, and pretty much thought that I called immigration on him. And I'm not gonna laugh, but because it's not funny. It's not funny at all. But I did it. There's no way I would do that. I wouldn't do that to anybody. I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy. But I didn't call immigration on him, but he thought I did, and it wasn't. So his ass flipped and just took the fuck off. Took off. And, well, give me a second. So he takes off, and I'm scared. I mean, really, I am. I'm scared at this point because I don't know. I don't want something bad to happen to him. I mean, I was terrified because I could see how terrified, truly terrified he was. And so I'm standing in the backyard of my house here in Alabama, and I don't know why I did it, and I don't know what made me do it, but it's like I just took a piece of my own energy, my own aura, and I just said, tell him to come home. Tell him it's safe. Tell him to come home. And I threw it into the air. And it wasn't 30 minutes later, and he finally come home. And he's freezing, and, he's cold. He's been laying out in somebody's yard behind their shed, hiding from immigration. And then out of nowhere, he says, I saw you. I was like, what do you mean you saw me? He said, I saw you. You saw me. Well, what'd you see? He's like, well, it was like just this bright ball of light, and I see your face in it. You saw my face in a bright ball of light? Yeah. I said, what were you doing? He was telling me how he was laying on the ground, and he said just this bright ball of light comes and is in front of him, and my face is in it. And then I said, well, what, did I say anything? He said, no. I said, what was I doing? He said, I could just see your face, but you were smiling at me. And I said, well, what'd you do? He said, well, I laid there and I said, hi baby, how are you? And I'm scared. And he said, you just smiled at me. And then all of a sudden the ball shifted into something and it disappeared and went away. I said, well, what'd you do after that? He said, I got up and come home. I'm like, so, of course, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, is there something to that? Did I literally just throw him, did I really, throw him, a piece of my energy? Did I throw him? Turns out, I did. It's something called an energy ball. I threw him an energy ball, and I know, it sounds crazy, doesn't it? But I didn't make it up. I mean, he's the one that's lost his shit. It says he saw my face in a fucking clear, in a white ball of energy. After I knew that I had instinctively, I don't know, threw him a piece of my energy to make him feel comfortable, to tell him to come home. So So there is, I'm clairsentient, which is a person that can sense and feel and manipulate energy. So, okay, all right. So here's another piece of the puzzle. Got that. And at this point, okay, so, I mean, I'm a very gifted person, right? So I've figured out that I'm an empath, clairvoyant, which is, you know, well, I just knew things. And there's clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient, something else. I just knew things, and now I realize I can manipulate energy, and I can sense it. And the thing is, looking back, I always could sense energies around me. So that's why sometimes, like, certain things didn't resonate, because like the pearly gates of heaven and the fiery depths of hell, you know, I always believed that we go somewhere, and I always believed in that higher power, but I was just like, that just doesn't make sense, because if that's the case, then why is there this energy next to me? You know, I could sense them, I could feel them, and then I can actually manipulate. And I mean, wow. I mean, this is pretty profound shit. Pretty crazy profound shit, but pretty profound. I mean, I know I'm not crazy at this point, because, I mean, believe me, at this point, I've asked myself several times if I'm fucking crazy. And then I realized, wait a minute, crazy people don't ask themselves if they're crazy. They're just fucking crazy. And I'm asking myself over and over again if I'm crazy. And nope, I'm not crazy. Misguided, but not crazy. And moving a little forward. Let's see. We got the Christmas energy ball here, and well, okay, so let's say by February, I realize I'm a channel, and that I'm channeling things, and I don't even realize it. And when I'm making these things, like these wreaths and all this stuff for my traumatic, you know, for healing my trauma, turns out I'm channeling a lot of that too. I mean, it's quite neat. So I was watching something, I ran across this, you know, person like reading the tarot cards. I think it was YouTube. And I don't know, something just drew me to the cards. And so I was like, well, I just kept going back to it, you know. I was like, yeah. And I was saying, okay. And I just kept coming back to it. I'm like, well, if I just keep rounding back to it, I'm just hell with it. I'm just going to get me some tarot cards. So I did. I got a deck of tarot cards, and, you know, and I'm playing around with them, and turns, for me, you know, they're coming out pretty friggin' accurate. Excuse me. And there's something to that. Well, I mean, and it was right after February, I realized too that I'm being blocked from all my dreams. I've always been a very vivid dreamer, and for some reason I'm being blocked from my dream. I mean, after 2 weeks of knowing, like, I mean, I waking up because I've been running in my dream, I wake up panting, and you can't remember what the hell just happened. I mean, it's like, it's right there. But so after a few weeks of that, I realized I'm being purposely blocked from dreams, which is kind of weird in itself. I'm like, why? Well, turns out that a part of clairvoyance is that is being able to, you know, is getting messages in your dreams. So apparently, you know, I didn't, you know, they didn't want me to give anything away. They want me to do the work here. So that's what I did. So it was May 2020. I knew I was going somewhere. I didn't know why or where or how, or, you know, I didn't know how, but I knew I was going somewhere. So I start packing my shit, putting stuff away, getting rid of stuff, going through stuff. And Mom says, where are you going? I said, I don't know, but I'm going somewhere. She's just like, so I'm sitting there one day, and I'm pretty much all packed up, just going on with life, and I hear time to go. What? Time to go? Well, I didn't say time to go, but I could clearly hear time to go in my head, so okay. By now, I have figured out that I am a channel, and I had gotten a little bit of help from a psychic medium in Cannleton, Indiana, and most of you know who she is, or some of you do, and she is fantastic. But she had told me that, I'm very tight with the angels and that I walk amongst them. And I'm like, what? She says, they said you'll know what you mean. I was like, well, I don't quite right now, but I'm sure I will find out. And so with that being said, it was instantly I realized that I channel mostly the angels, and also too, whenever I'm channeling and I'm using the cards, it's like I could feel this tingling and stuff on my skin. And it turns out the higher the divinity of the person that you're channeling, you feel them when they come into your aura, as like goosebumps and stuff, and I could feel them on my skin. So I packed my stuff. Let's get back on track. I packed my stuff, and I had my car packed, and I'm laying there in bed the night before, and I said, well, Spirit, I guess if you want me to go somewhere, you're going to give me some money by the time I wake up in the morning, because I have $6 in my bank account. So next morning I wake up, and lo and behold, I had my tax return, and it's even more than what I expected. So I just laugh, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess I am going somewhere. Well, I guess by the time I get in the car, Spirit, you'll let me know where I'm going. And then all of a sudden, my bestie calls. And she was going to be alone for Mother's Day. I didn't make it up there, but I knew right then I was going north. I was going back up to Kentucky. So I get up there, and I don't know, for some reason, I just had this, I just need to go see this person. So I call her up, and I go see her, and it turns out that this friend, she can actually, I asked her, if I could told her a little bit about me and, what I've been through, and asked her if I could, practice on her, since I hadn't seen her in so long. I don't really know anything about her life right now, and practice doing a reading and tarot reading, and she let me, and very accurate it was, and the messages just flowed right through. She was very impressed, and she said that's when she disclosed to me that she can actually hear people that have passed on, dead people that have passed on, talk to her. Like she said, a friend will come in, and the so-and-so's mother will be like, hey, tell my son, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, but I can't tell anybody that, No, you can't tell anybody that, because everybody think you crazy. And, well, I didn't think she was crazy, because I knew that I wasn't crazy. And then I had also, when I was up there, went and saw another person. And turns out this person can touch your arm and can tell you all kinds of stuff about yourself. But he says, I don't believe in that stuff. Like a little kid. I don't believe in that. Well, yes, he does believe in that, but he's turned it off because he had done something when he was a kid, and somebody called him a freak. So he's like, I don't believe in that stuff. Because whenever he, disclosed his gift at a younger age, like I said, somebody called him a freak, and what kid wants to be called a freak? And then there was another friend, and that they could feel certain things, and so I thought I was moving back up there, but as it turns out, I was on a discovery journey to realize that I'm not the only person going through this. I mean, I'm not the only person that has gifts, or everybody's gifted. I'm just going to say everyone has it, but not everyone is in tune with them. More or less, we're all born with them, but essentially society just dumbs us down. And so there's other people like me. So I don't know, but I just had this feeling that I knew what I had to do. And it's never easy being the first person to do something, but here's me, natural leader, Jennifer, and not that I wanted to, but I would just take charge of a situation, and I would be the leader if I had to. And that's just always been the person that I have, that I am. So here's me holding my torch, and I knew what I had to do. So I am going to be a spiritual teacher of sorts. All the details have yet to work themselves out, but that is who I am. I'm Jennifer. I am a spiritual practitioner and a spiritual teacher and a teacher of hope. So that is my goal. That is my life mission now, is to be a teacher of hope. And in order to be a teacher of hope, you have to have this one qualification. In order to be a true teacher of hope, you have to have had victory over trauma, pain, and hurt. I mean, that's really, truly the only way you can be a teacher of hope. So, check, check, check. I feel like I've had victory. And why am I telling you all this? Is because I could hear the banter now. Here comes Jennifer, after she done lost her shit, after she lost everything because she cheated with this fucking Mexican, takes off, and bitch comes back now and thinks she's a psychic. She's really lost her damn mind. I mean, I can hear it. Y'all know some of you said it, and I didn't appreciate that. I didn't appreciate it at all. So, that being said, I'm doing what I'm doing because I do have a gift. I do have the ability to channel those on the other side of the veil, and I can give, if I can just give each person that I come in contact with that little spark of hope, that peace that they've been missing, that confirmation that they need, why they're doing everything they're doing, and that they're not alone, and somebody is listening, and you do have people on your side, and everything's going to be okay. If I can just give that each person that I come in contact with that little spark of hope that they need to keep going, and that there is something to this life, that, because I'm sure most of you wake up and they're like, y'all think, why in the hell are we doing this? What's the point? Well, I want to give you that point. I want to give you that hope. I want to give you that reassurance that keep doing what you're doing, and that it's okay to want to do something different, and it's okay to be different, and that you're not the only one out there. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so that's why I have started my business, Clear Path Intuition, and where I can give spiritual guidance sessions. That's what I like to call them. I don't like to call them tarot readings, but I give spiritual guidance sessions with or without tarot. The tarot is not necessary if that freaks most people out. It does some, but I can offer, I can do these readings. I never know what's going to come through. It's just whatever, your spiritual team wants you to know. So, and whatever comes through is always in your greatest good. So with that being said, that's my story. That's how I came to be banker to psychic medium. And I appreciate you watching and listening. Y'all have a great day. Happy Sunday. Remember to give it a like. That way, I can get your energy, and that way I can expand to, I have over 1,000 friends on Facebook so far, so I can expand my readings that I'm giving out, that I do each week, to more of you. So give me some love, give me a like or a share, and have a great Sunday. Bye.